Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Mismatch. Today we have a very special guest. We have Katie Zeppieri with us today, and she is the founder and chief brand strategist of the Mic Drop Agency. Now, it's an award-winning PR and marketing firm with offices in Toronto and, get this, in Austin. Recognized in Inc. magazine for its innovative approach, Mic Drop works with high-growth tech companies and entertainment talent to amplify their brands. So Katie is also a two-time TEDx speaker and named 2024's Emerging Leader in Marketing and Advertising by The Peak. Now, before launching Mic Drop, she spent over 7 years leading a youth empowerment program, including building Canada's largest girl empowerment event, Girl Talk Day, and it reached thousands of girls each and every year. Now, whether she's working with young changemakers or global brands, Katie remains focused on the same thing, which is helping people tell their stories and be heard. And we are hearing her live today in the studio. Katie!
Hi, I'm so excited to be in your studio.
I'm so happy to have you in here. In the very short amount of time that I have known you and that we've really been able to connect, because we see each other and it's, hey, how's it going? Yeah. But we don't actually have a chance to talk. I love this. I feel energized and empowered, like leaving a conversation with you.
That's really nice to hear.
It's the truth, honestly. I'm really amazed at all the things that you've accomplished, and I actually got the chance to hear more about your story at Fuck Up Nights TO.
Yes.
And we've had Marsha on the show here, which is awesome. And hearing you tell your story and the journey that it took to get there. Girl, you have endurance, you have perseverance, you have patience, and so many other qualities. But I really wanted to have you on at this time because January is a really good time to talk about new year, new me.
Yes.
Like it goes, you can relate to that, right? Yes. And in saying that, I think it's a really good opportunity. And I think a lot of people spend time thinking about who am I going to be this year? How am I going to show up in my life? How am I going to show up in my business? How am I going to maybe pivot, really find myself, be the best version of me? And I feel like you're just the epitome of that example because your journey has not been, an even keel one. And so, yeah, I'd love to ask you to share your story of how you kind of found your passion and what you do today.
Where to begin?
Where do we begin? So how did you grow up? Did you always want to, you didn't, I know this, you didn't always want to get into marketing, or you didn't see yourself in that?
Yeah, I think honestly, the dream was broadcasting.
Mm-hmm.
So I admire and relate to so much of what you do and what you've done with your career. And I think what I'm about to say, you will also agree with, which is that the picture that we had maybe in our heads about what broadcasting would look like, especially as a young person, as a teen.
You're hopeful, you're, enthusiastic and full of light and optimism.
And somebody's going to discover you and you are going to get the dream role and you're set.
You're going to work hard. You're going to be recognized and rewarded for your work.
Exactly. Yeah. And then you're set for life.
Yeah.
That was kind of the narrative, right? You're good to go. And as I was in school for radio and television broadcasting, the iPhone was popping,
mm-hmm.
Instagram was popping, YouTube was popping. It was this whole new dynamic. So starting university, finishing university, the landscape looked completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the beginning of, okay, there's a massive shift going on here. It's no longer, I'm just going to apply and become a host and I'm going to be in this career and I can feel safe in this career. That's
mm-hmm.
a big thing for a long period of time. It suddenly became clear that the future of broadcasting was going to look very different. And that's evolved continually up until today, where you really, to succeed and to thrive, not only in broadcasting, in a number of industries today, you need to think like an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be somebody who builds your brand and somebody who is constantly looking for the next opportunity. I find that it's rare now in many industries, but broadcasting and media in particular, you can't really rest. And that sounds scary because the safety of jobs, man, I had friends who followed that route, who got the top radio jobs in the city and who were let go with like no notice, no planning, came out of nowhere, get pulled in on a Friday afternoon. And that's that. Like I've seen this happen to lots of people. And that's a big wake up call. And I think for them, for sure, where they're thinking, I thought this was it.
Yeah.
Right?
100%. I mean, I know I felt that way when I was on BT. I very much felt like that. I was like, you know, because they also like make you believe that, like, oh, everything's good and you're here and you've got, you know, their full-time thing. And if nothing is really like wrong, then you don't expect that the rug to be pulled from underneath you, so to speak. But in saying that, it's so interesting because when I did lose my job, I really did start thinking like a business without even realizing it. And I mean, you have drawn attention to this for me because I haven't even given like thought. I don't consider myself an entrepreneur. When anyone asks me what I do, I'm just like, I'm a freelancer. But like, technically, I'm a business.
You're a business. You're a business owner.
And that's what I stepped into doing when that happened. And for the reason that it was like, I want to be in charge of my own destiny and what happens. And so I'm going to build out my brand and what that looks like.
Yes. And I think that philosophy, you know, we're starting a new year here. People have goals personally, professionally. I think that kind of mindset and philosophy of I can always reinvent myself is so powerful.
But also, can I just say like scary, like for a lot of people, the thought of that is terrifying.
Makes sense. It is terrifying. It is. You grow comfortable with what you know, and that's just how it is. But the idea that the world is changing constantly, like the only constant is change, and that is true of every aspect of our lives. People are changing in our lives. We're growing. We're getting older. Industries are changing and being transformed by new technologies. Like things are constantly moving and in flux. And so it's almost like before we'd sort of say, well, okay, I just want to follow a path and I want to be comfortable. Now I want to challenge you to think, in order to be comfortable, you need to be comfortable with change, and you need to be always thinking about how do I reinvent myself and how do I level up, and not think of it as, to your point, this one moment where it's a reinvention and this one scary thing, this one big, you're reinventing yourself every day. And in fact, when you think about it that way, or you kind of shape your mindset like that, it makes it less intimidating, I think. And I hope, because it's not necessarily, there will be times in life where there's drastic switches, but just each day, how do I show up and how do I kind of reassess my goals and ensure that mindset of I am going to put myself into a position where even if worst case scenario happens with, say, a job loss or the industry changes from underneath me, AI is going to replace my role. Like I am preparing myself for the possibility of what could come.
And I think it's important to say that doesn't mean that you're a pessimist. It doesn't mean that you are, you know, not hopeful or a dreamer or in any sense. What that means is you're being explorative and, like you said, keeping up with how the world around us is changing, and you can't deny that it is changing at like a faster rate than ever. And so you're either realistically, like, and I hate to be like a tough ass, but it's like you're gonna get left behind, or you be ahead of the game. Like that's just how it is, you know?
Oh yeah, you're a dreamer.
I am.
I'm a dreamer.
I know you are a dreamer too.
I'm a positive person.
Yeah.
You're a positive person. I know that about you. But it's like somewhere along the way, life hits you with a few hard knocks.
It does, hey? A couple slaps in the face, and here we are.
Where did that come from, you know? And it's like, I need to learn how to deal with this.
Yeah.
And I can still be optimistic. I can still be positive. I can still believe and look for the good in the world, but I need to prepare myself for survival.
Yeah.
Man. Like at the end of the day, and I've had the privilege now especially with my new business, Mic Drop, I've had the opportunity to work with some really resilient, successful entrepreneurs, people who have built and sold companies, people who have been in the trenches and have achieved great success. And I'm learning from them constantly. And one of the things that I've learned is that like business fundamentally is about survival. Like you have to just survive long enough to get lucky.
Yeah.
Like those opportunities that come to you, sometimes it's just like, how do I make it through this difficult period of time? Most businesses fail within the first 5 years. How do I survive to 5 years and past? How do I make it to that mark so that I put myself in a position for success? Or in the case of my company or your company, companies that don't have funding, you're bootstrapped. You're kind of, you earn income and you sort of invest that back in the business. They call that like the you eat what you kill mentality.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm a vegetarian. So like I've learned to be like so much tougher in this area because it's like that's true. Like it sounds really bold, but it's like you are constantly hunting that next opportunity or that next client as a freelancer, as a business owner. Like you are, because if you do not, so many other things fall apart. And you need to constantly have a little bit of that survival mindset. Only the paranoid survive. What I'm not preaching is that we need to be like scared at all times. But I think having that mentality of how do I prepare myself for survival? How do I prepare myself so that, you know, I can't control the things that happen to me, but I can control my response and I can control some of my preparation.
That's exactly it. And I think those two things, response and preparation, is what separates businesses that thrive to the ones that then unfortunately die.
Agreed.
Right? Okay, so tell me how you have managed to do this and kind of find where you're at. So after going to school for broadcast, then did you apply for a bunch of jobs?
I did. Yeah, I did. I was applying to media jobs for probably like 5 to 10 years after school, after university. And I came close on a few. I was like a finalist. I was doing all these really neat interviews. And it never lined up for me for whatever reason. I was trying radio opportunities. I was trying TV opportunities. But I think like I did start to realize towards the end of my last year that I had this sort of entrepreneurial bug. And I started to feel like, man, I want to own what I create. I want to have a say in that. And I was like, I don't just want to maybe be like the talking head that I initially thought I would be doing. And so I had also in my high school journey, I had been somebody who was an advocate for youth leadership. And that was one of the ways that I like made it through high school. High school was really rough socially for me.
How come?
I had a very cliquey school. It was like right out of like a Mean Girls cafeteria. Like there were segregated groups. People thought certain things of certain groups. People were mean to each other, like just fundamentally mean to each other, like just talking down, rumors, gossip, some physical bullying. And I, witnessed that. And I also experienced that. I had like a pretty large group of people who just did not want to see me succeed.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It was.
Who's
rough.
laughing now, bitches? Sorry, I have to say that, but go ahead.
I'm so glad I could live for this moment. This is great.
You didn't say it, I did.
You said it exactly. And like, we all have our things.
Yeah.
That was mine, and it felt like going to school some days was just like a battle mentally of, how do I just avoid people who want to cause harm and hate? And how do I stay focused on my lane and recognize that the labels that you're given behind those four walls, they feel like they matter more than anything else in the world for those 4 years. Like you literally feel like that is the most important thing.
Because that's your world. And when someone, puts a label, so to speak, on you, then you, whether you like it or not, start to adopt the label of feeling that way or acting that way or whatever it is.
Yeah. You're almost like, oh, am I this?
Yeah.
Like,
you start questioning
am I what
yourself.
they think I am?
100%.
And it changes just how you see yourself. So, I started to just try to have that bigger picture mindset of, Katie, like, when we graduate, all of these roles and labels, this little tower that's been built here where certain people have power, and this is all gonna go away. And what's gonna be left on the other side of this is who is preparing for their future and who is focusing on things that actually matter.
Yeah.
Because this stuff doesn't matter. This stuff is gonna leave you empty. Popularity contests are gonna leave you empty. Trying to be the coolest person, trying to fit in, like it's gonna leave you empty. What you should be focusing on are the things that last, the things that endure, the things that are gonna mean a lot. How can I prepare myself to be the kind of person that's gonna meet the partner that I'm hoping to marry in the future? That changes how you think about dating, even in high school. How can I prepare myself to be the kind of person who's going to succeed in whatever career or field I go into? That changes how you show up to school, changes how you treat your work. It changes
That's
how you
really
get involved.
mature for like a young kid to adopt that sort of mentality. Like, did you get that from your parents, or how did you think that way? Did they set an example of that?
They definitely did. My parents always reminded me to dream big and to not let anybody else's opinion define who you are, but you define that for yourself. I also think I had a lot of medical challenges as a young child. So I spent quite a bit of time in hospitals.
Oh.
And I feel like on some level, I wonder if that changed things for me. You know, you're spending time at sick kids. You're going there. At the beginning, it was, extreme. And then as I got older, it was just like 6 months or once a year check-ins. But every time that you're there, I'm kind of looking around and seeing, man, there are people who have it so much worse than
Perspective
I do.
is huge. It's huge. And it really draws awareness to, and I think appreciation, self-awareness, all these things of where you're at when you see things like that around 100%. You, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was, I think. Like, you're just kind of like, I have my problems, but people have problems that are way bigger than mine, or dealing with way bigger challenges. And I, in addition to some of the medical, I had some bladder issue stuff. I also have an eye disorder. So my left eye is unable to move outward direction, which basically means that if I try to look to the left and don't turn my head, like I'll look cross-eyed. And that was something, it's called Duane's syndrome. And it's funny, since I actually talked about it on social media years and years ago, mainly as a form of therapy for myself, I've had so many parents reaching out to me saying, oh my gosh, my child has this, and I wonder what their life would look like. And I'm so happy to see what you're doing and that kind of thing. But even that little disability that for the most part, people don't notice.
I would never notice.
Except if I turn my head a certain way. I felt like I was able to connect to people who had disabilities or things that people thought were odd or strange about them or different. And all of that, I think, was a good grounding to remember what actually matters in this life. And so not just me, I saw people getting bullied. I saw people in the special education program getting bullied on a daily basis.
That's terrible.
And I was able to step back to be like this is not that this is me in the sense of even a disability, but we are all human here. Why is somebody more human than somebody else?
You saw yourself in that person.
I did.
Yeah, for sure.
I did. And I think it just kind of gave me that motivation to be like, I'm not going to tolerate this. I'm going to be somebody who says something. And so that was really the narrative and the mission. So in high school, I got involved in every possible club I could. I have a zest for life. And I feel like you share that. It's I want to wake up each day and love life and be excited for life. Is every day perfect? No. But I can find good things in every day, and I can make things happen. And so we had a culture of peace group at school, which is a human rights committee. And I found my voice really in that group. And I had wonderful mentors, wonderful teachers, wonderful principal who kind of took me under their wing and got me to think bigger. So one of the things that they got me thinking about was, hey, for your co-op in grade 11, why, instead of just working at any other co-op, why don't you create a co-op? Why don't you pitch something?
Wow, that is cool. Very much thinking outside the box.
Yes, and something I might not have thought of if not for this mentor.
Yeah.
And so came up with the idea, what about if I went back to my former elementary school and taught younger students, grade 5 to 8 students, about leadership, about standing up against bullying.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I created a curriculum And I'm like grade 11 here.
Wow.
And got a chance to go for my co-op, earn credits, teach younger students about leadership and standing up against bullying and making their mark on the world. And I wrote all of my lesson plans down. I came up with a bunch of different activities, and we got it published through the school board at the end of grade 11. Yeah.
That is so freaking cool.
Yeah, it was like, I think that was like the first moment where I realized you don't just have to follow the traditional path. You can create something new. And that opened my eyes to see, wow, that was fun. Like, I love doing this. How can I do this again? So that's where that entrepreneurial bug kind of came in. And even as I graduated into university, I remember thinking like, okay, how can I build something? And so shortly after finishing school, I kind of just got this idea that I was going to go full time into, well, I was like, I can sell my speaking services. I had started getting paid to speak a little bit after high school. And so I was kind of like, okay, I could maybe make some money doing that. I could publish more resources and curriculums. Maybe I could, create a business doing that. So that was kind of the mindset. I'm going to run these programs. And me being me, I'm kind of like an all-in sort of person. So I told the place that I was working at, I only wanted a 6-month contract. And once that finished, I went full-time entrepreneurship.
It's very brave.
Which was very brave and very bold and sounds like a really good story, except for, as you know, based on my fuck up nights talk, it was not a great idea because
there were struggles.
I had no business model. I had all the gumption and all the ideas. And fundamentally, I learned that I have what it takes to pursue this and to be resilient.
Yes.
But if I were to go back, and to anybody who's thinking about their next thing or their pivot or starting something new, I'd say, how can you test this like now with your current role and without taking crazy risks? So how do you do that?
That's what I was just going to ask. So what sort of business model or kind of transition would you kind of recommend or suggest to someone who's considering doing something like that?
So I think, look, if you have an idea and you're thinking maybe this side hobby or maybe this interest or maybe this passion of mine, maybe this is something that I could like make money doing. The best way to test that is to test that. And ideally, don't test that when you're like no income coming in.
I was just going to say, test that while you're still making money somewhere else. Money. That's the key.
100%. And we all do it, right? It's like, if I just had more time, I'd be able to really get this. Trust me, when you have a lot of time, but no money coming in, that's harder. That's harder. That's a different kind of pressure.
Yeah.
So I would say I would just start small with, how do I turn this idea that I have into some sort of product or some sort of service that I can just like gently start marketing? You could start with your network. You could start just building a social media page for it. You could start maybe testing out a few ads, nothing crazy, but test the idea, get some feedback on the idea. And people will tell you, oh, it's good or it's that. Are people paying you for this? That is the fundamental question. If you're looking to start a business, are people willing to pay you for this product or pay you for this service? And if they are, that's a sign that you might have something.
So I have a question about feedback because it's so interesting. You, on social media, no one loves a story more than seeing the most successful person who's making millions, billions, and they got so many no's, and this is a dumb idea, and I don't believe in this. No one's going to pay for this. And then it like explodes and they're like the most successful person. So like, how do you take feedback really? Like I'm not going to lie, like growing up, I take feedback very hard. Like being in this career, you get a lot of feedback, that's for sure. And so I have learned to take things and also let things go. It's also like about the ego and what that does to someone. But as an entrepreneur, how do you approach taking feedback? I know that sounds so ridiculous, but I feel like it's a concept for a lot of people.
It's not easy to take feedback. It's not easy to especially when it's constructive criticism, constructive feedback, right? Like that can be very difficult to hear.
Yeah, because you can't say like, you're an asshole. You're just an asshole. Like, no, they're actually right about what they're saying.
I honestly think I look at the source first to determine whether or not I am going to give weight to this particular set of feedback. Do I admire this person? Do I respect this person? Probably is the best question. Do I respect them? Are they somebody who, have achieved something along the lines of something similar that I'm looking to achieve? Do they bring a perspective? Have they had an experience? Have they been in the trenches? Have they done something hard themselves and made it to the other side? I'm going to have a lot more time for people who are willing to give feedback like that than I am for somebody who's just like the armchair critic. Armchair critics I have no time for. They're the people who just sit back and tell you all the things that are wrong with your plan and your idea, and you shouldn't do this and you should be doing this, and why aren't you doing this by this age? Armchair critics. They're not in the arena. You want to be the person in the arena, the person who's like trying and stumbling and failing and picking themselves back up and keep going. And you want to listen to people, I think, and be advised by people and mentors who have done the same. So that's my general take. I think as a business owner, obviously your customers and clients give you feedback. So I think, like there's usually like a respect level to that, and how respectfully the feedback is given, because that also makes a big difference too. Is somebody like taking the time to like actually give you something thoughtful that's helpful, or are they just like pointing at a critique without offering like a solution? Yeah,
that's really good advice. That's very good advice. Okay, so your business that you went into with no plan. So what inevitably happened?
Well, we kind of toiled away for a period of time. And I was trying to find a business model for a long time. And I didn't realize that that's what it was at the time. I was just like, I kind of got this plan, and I got my logo made, and I got the office rental downtown Toronto. And I kind of had the things that I thought were the essentials for the business. But the biggest essential was, do I have an audience that I'm selling things to and they're willing to pay me for this? I did not have that. I tried summer camps. That was where we sort of began. Those kind of flopped. I had 5 campers at our one camp that summer, and I made that camp run. I could have canceled it.
I think that's admirable. I think 5 campers is a great accomplishment.
The kids are like, where am I? Where's all the other kids that I can make friends with?
Are people late? What's going on here?
It was like, guys, and I think I had like enlisted a number of different like friends or people that I knew to like help lead the campers. So there was like just as many like mentors and teachers as there were campers. Oh my God,
I love that.
Very hands-on training. So that idea kind of went away. I'm like, maybe that's not it. And at the time I was still speaking, and that was kind of the constant for me. Was I would go to schools and talk to students about a number of different topics. But I noticed that I was starting to get a lot more girls coming up to me afterwards and sharing things with me. So I'd be there telling them like, we want to be leaders, and, don't be afraid to create, and all of these kinds of messages. And I'd have girls come up to me and be like, I hate how my body looks. I'm obsessed with how my body looks. I think about it all day. I can't focus on anything else. Or things like, why doesn't this guy like me? Or just things like that, where I'm like, man, we're not even able to have a conversation about leadership because there's all of these like blockers and pressures that girls in particular, boys have their own set of challenges, but girls in particular were telling me again and again and again and again. And I was like, man, maybe I need to create some sort of program for girls. Maybe there's a gap here. And what could I create to help? So I kind of thought, how do I put my media background to use? What about if we create an epic day? I think one of the things that I always had a good knack for was how to make a buzzy moment. No matter what it was.
Because you're creative, because you're very creative. That's where that comes from.
Yeah. Like, even if this is 5 campers, how do I make this buzzy? I bring in a guest speaker, a former boxer, Spider Jones. I brought him in as a guest speaker.
He's great.
He's amazing. I knew that with his background experience, 1, the kids would be moved and inspired like I was when I had heard him years earlier. But 2, I knew we'd get some coverage by having him there. So like always kind of had that mindset of, even if it's not perfect, even if it's not the best thing ever, how do I just like get started, and how do I get some buzz around it so that I can
how do we amplify this, knowing that we can reach more people with 100%. Doing one thing?
Yes. And so Girl Talk Day, the idea came to mind. What about if we had an epic one-day event where we brought together girls ages 11 to 18, and we brought people on stage who they would look up to and admire? Because that's what I was realizing. They're looking to celebrities. Influencer culture was just building. Girls are spending their time, so are boys, watching content and looking at all these other people. How can we have them hear from the source, from these people that they look up to, these messages about self-esteem and loving who you are and building confidence and not being afraid to dream big and be ambitious and all of those sorts of things. How can we get that together in one room? So that was the concept. We brought in YouTubers, musicians, motivational speakers, really amazing people. And, long story short, we held this first event. And it was one of the most incredible moments. I think we had about 700 girls show up to this event, buses coming in from schools all over the GTA. And that was when I realized there was some magic here that we needed to build upon. And so for the next, 7 years, we had an annual Girl Talk Day that got bigger, eventually made it downtown to the Toronto Metropolitan Center, Convention Center.
Yeah.
And we just kept growing our reach to where we had, 1,200 plus girls, and really just brought bigger and bigger names to be part of this brand. And that launched into School Chapter Network, and it launched into just this kind of movement, really. These school chapters had social media pages. They were posting really empowering content. They were meeting at lunches and after school and talking through all these themes. I wrote a book during that time called Girl Talk, and I talked about my own challenges, and there were discussion questions at the end of each chapter, and schools were using that as teaching guides. It really was a moment where I felt like I was able to kind of heal some of those things that younger Katie would have been looking for.
How beautiful is that?
It was. It really was. It was I had this crap experience. How can I find those other girls who are maybe experiencing a similar thing and just give them that reminder from somebody on the other side, from people on the other side, from the YouTubers that you look up to that are just 5 to 10 years older than you, that you're going to be okay, and focus on the stuff that actually matters in life. And that's going to prepare you for much more happiness.
It was like the moment in high school when you saw yourself in those kids that were getting bullied. You saw yourself in these kids who are struggling today, and giving them the tools and resources that, weren't, I also think weren't available. But I also think that as years and with technology, everything has gotten harder for girls. I too struggled with self-esteem, definitely. And I mean, self-love is still something that I openly talk about as well. But it's I had just actually said to myself, I started going back to therapy, and the therapist had asked me, why are you, why now? Why you're doing this now? And I said, well, a number of reasons, but one of the many reasons is that I wouldn't want to talk to my daughter the way that I talk to myself.
Wow.
And I wouldn't want her to talk to herself the way that I talk to myself, ever in this world. So something needs to be reprogrammed and changed, because I don't want that to be continued, That's
also a really mature outlook.
Thanks.
It is.
I try.
And brave, I think. Brave to think like that, because it's hard to admit to ourselves that this isn't healthy.
Yeah.
Internal dialogue that we have with ourselves sometimes is not healthy. But to change it, the only way that you can change it, first step is to acknowledge.
And I think it's amazing that you've done that for so many girls and created this space to make them feel like they can acknowledge it out loud. Even a young girl having the courage to come up to you after a talk to say that is a lot. That's not an easy thing to get someone to be open about, or, and they obviously felt connected to you. So that's amazing.
Yeah, it was one of the most rewarding things, because I was sort of just coming at this, I didn't have training as a social worker or any of these things. I was just kind of coming at this with passion. But I'd have girls DMing me, what should I do in this situation? Or this just happened, or I wanted to have a phone call and walk through different things. I would have these, I would have the opportunity to get invited into somebody's life and struggle. And when they're looking at you thinking help me, you can just see it in their, we all have those moments where it's I need the right words right now to hold on to help get me through this time.
Yeah.
And that was so meaningful. I'm so honored that I had that journey and that I had that experience.
Well, it's because you've turned it into that, not everyone does. Sometimes they let experiences like that change them for the not so good.
Which, to tie back to reinvention, is part of the choice that we make when we have circumstances that come up in our life. We are all going to face adversity. There'll be different chapters of adversity. Professionally, personally, stuff happens. We lose loved ones. Relationships or friendships don't work out. We have setbacks. We don't get the job we thought we were going to get. We get fired from an opportunity we had. Like, so many elements, illness, sickness for us or for family. Like, there is so much adversity that we deal with as humans in life. And the goal with reinvention and this whole, like, I will reinvent myself every day, is to think about, how do I take what is happening to me and how do I, like, change this? How do I channel this into something that can actually turn out to be helpful to me and or to somebody else? And that mindset, I think, also helps you get out of dark moments and dark times.
I literally was just with someone today who had said the exact same thing. Like, she was saying to me, like, instead of looking at that as like wasted time, think about like what you learned in that time, or how this time has changed you, or how you've grown. Like, again, and I know it sounds so corny of like looking at it in a positive way, but it really does change then the way that you approach something, you get over something.
Yes.
And then the way that you choose to move forward in your life.
Yes. It's necessary. It's necessary. It can sound cheesy, but that is the approach. You have to make a decision. And look, I'm not saying this as in something terrible happens to you, you're going to make a decision that day. No, like, you need to take your time to process and to feel things and to go through some dark chapters of life. There's this quote on the Starbucks board at my local Starbucks that I look at, and I was like, oh, this is so simple. This is so profound. And it's like, bad days are part of a good life. I love that.
I love that.
I look at that, and I'm like, man, that's so true. So just reminding yourself that it's okay to have bad days, bad weeks, bad months, like bad chapters, bad year. Like, it's part of a good life, not just life. It's part of a good life is to actually go through those periods of time. And you only really can see it when you're on the other side, but those end up being like these really cathartic experiences for you, where you grow and you shed things that need to be shed, and you learn things that you needed to learn to just become the person that you need to be for this next chapter. Every single time that I look back and I'm like, man, that was a rough period of time for whatever reason, I can now look back and see like how much I've grown and how much I've been shaped by that. And that happens by, one, you have to be in the process, be in the arena, feel the things, but then decide, even if it's a bad day, a bad week, bad month, like, I'm not going to let any one of these incidents that happen to me define me. I'm going to choose how I define this. And I'm going to choose my perspective, and I'm going to choose my course of action.
Yeah, we do have the choice at the end of the day.
Totally.
Of how we respond and how we proceed.
Yes.
Because life is going to happen. Shit's going to happen. But like, yeah, you have the choice.
Yes. Agreed.
So what did you choose? So after Girl Talk Day, how did this come to a close, and did you reinvent yourself and move forward?
Yeah. So I've shared what I consider to be the greatest wins about that experience of starting Girl Talk, and how much it moved me and how much it meant to me to lead that. What I didn't share yet was the business side of things. Remember, this was supposed to be a business. I was drinking the Kool-Aid at that time that who needs another charity? We need more social enterprises. And that was kind of like a buzzy thing at the time. And I was like, okay, that's what I'll build. And look, there's people who have done a really great job at doing so. They'll make a product or something and give proceeds to charity, and like service companies, a whole bunch of things. I couldn't figure it out with the model that I was approaching with Girl Talk Day. Every year it was, how do I get sponsors? And it was a bit of a slog to get sponsorship when you're not a charity. You can't give like a charitable receipt for anything.
Right, and then they can't use it as a write-off. So they need, yeah.
And then you're trying to sell tickets, and you're selling them to school boards. Like, from a business standpoint, there were a lot of flaws with the plan, but I was so driven by passion, and that really kept me going. And I somehow each year we were able to make it work. It was like a break even or loss, for the first couple of years, but I was able to kind of like keep it going based on that. And that was the part that people didn't see that was hard, was that it's all great when I was in my early 20s. But as I started to come towards like my late 20s, there's certain life realities that hit you. Yeah. Oh, wow. I'm just a couple of years away from 30. Not that that's a bad thing, but just what were some of the goals that I had for my personal life? Mm-hmm. What were some of the things that I wanted for myself, at this stage in life? And just recognizing that some of the sacrifices that were made by chasing passion means that you're leaving certain other things of your life, your personal life, on hold. And so the reality was I needed to pay bills at that time. So I was side hustling like crazy. I worked a ton of different jobs. I think I listed them out one day and it was like, I think I've had like 25 or 30 different jobs.
Wow.
Like I was promo girl, handing out flyers, doing samples, a ton of different companies, from hair care to Mr. Lube, to like everything in between, frozen yogurt, like just like hawking this freebie stuff and selling Dysons. I was doing the Dyson vacuum demonstration. Like I didn't even have my own house at this point. I'm like living with my parents and I'm giving people like, here's
this vacuum's great.
This vacuum's great. Just use this on the weekends. And, anyway, I was doing that. I worked at Kohl's bookstore. I was working at Party City. I was working at a whole bunch of different random gigs and trying to just like take contracts as they came. And from that, I started to realize like I could monetize some of these things. So I eventually was like, oh, okay. First I was the brand girl. But then I actually connected with a brand and was face to face with one of the brands who wanted to hire me directly and not through like a third party agency. And that's when I got the opportunity to do some like event work for them and plan events for the shopping center and lead some things. So now I kind of had this sort of event business on the side. All of this kind of culminated in 2019, where I realized that I needed to let go of Girl Talk in order to move forward with my own life. And there were certain aspects. One of those being my then boyfriend, now husband, Sean. We had been together, for 10 years at that point.
Wow.
Yeah.
10 years is a long time.
A long time. We grew up.
That's so
together.
Sweet.
And we also were kind of like this traditional, but not traditional, because we dated for 10 years, couple where we didn't live together until we got married. So that's a long time. Like, I mean, I think some people would say that that's crazy or that they wouldn't be able to do that. I mean,
I think a lot of people today would be like, I would never do something like that.
Never do that.
That's a red flag. There's no way.
Yeah. And look, like there's also some privilege in there where we were able to live with family for a time being. Like we had those kind of safety nets that not everybody has. But that was a choice that we kind of made at the outset. And we were looking ahead to be like, okay, well, we want to move forward with our lives, but I'm investing so much money and so many resources in this, which I love, but it's not sustainable. I am like, every year is like a loss and a hustle and a thing to try and get this off the ground. And I can't keep doing this. And it was one of the toughest decisions that I made. Like that was a low point. That was like a very emotional low point, especially when I realized like, who am I?
7 years of your life. It's like a baby for you that you raised and you did and you grew and it was a passion for you.
Yeah. And it's like, who am I without this? Like I was the Girl Talk girl. I leveraged those opportunities to build my personal brand. Right. So I was getting interviewed about this. I was continuing to speak about this. I'd written books about this. Like, if I am not the Girl Talk girl,
then who am I?
Who am I?
Yeah.
Like, who am I? I'm like looking at myself and I'm like, I have nothing else to show here. Like this is me. So that was like a punch in the face really of what do I do next and where do I go from here? But the reality of life was I needed something sustainable. And that's when I kind of looked at my situation and realized that there were some skills that I had been building all the way in the background. Just like you realizing that you're actually an entrepreneur, you're kind of like, oh, I'm just gigging it, or I'm just like free. No, like you're actually building all these skills of being like a business owner. I realized that I was building all these skills of being a really good marketer in the background. Like I knew how to build buzz on things. I knew how to scrap things together. like with shoestring budgets. I could make something happen. I could get coverage on it, and I could make something that would kind of amplify it and get seen and distributed by a lot of people. And I just realized like maybe I could just package that and repurpose that in a different way. And that's what led to this path of, well, maybe marketing and maybe PR is something for me.
Interesting. That's really interesting. So when you kind of put all those skills and realize this, then how did you find the trajectory to like move forward of like, okay, so now I realize I have all this, and now how do I move forward with this in this next chapter of my life?
I always say to people, you're often not going to, almost never, are you going to land just right in this dream next opportunity or next, it's not going to be like that. It's usually a progression and a series of things. So when I have people come to me and be like, oh, I'm not sure what I should do, or fresh grads just being like, which job should I take? What should I do? I think you just need to take the next best opportunity.
Yeah, because a lot of people feel like, I don't want to accept less money than this. I went to school for it. I interned here. And the mentality is like, no, I really want this. But like, in addition to what you're saying, I didn't do that. I like took the no money, work 7 jobs so that I could get the experience and like put something down, essentially.
Yeah. And it's like, you have to weigh all the factors in your own situation.
For sure. Everybody's different.
But you're not going to don't think of it as I'm choosing something that's like, this is my forever thing, and whatever I choose next, I'm stuck to. It's like, I'm going to choose the next right option in front of me.
Yeah.
And that next right option can mean a number of things. Maybe it's like, you really like the culture. Maybe it's like a startup and you feel like you're going to get a lot of hands-on experience, or maybe it's in an industry that you've always wanted to work in. So you kind of want to try that out and see if it's like, it could be so many different factors, but that's what I did. I had a tough conversation with Sean where it was basically like, okay, I need to look for a job. Like, Girl Talk's done. Like, what do we do now? And I started hunting online, and I came across this opportunity where somebody who owned a business, a marketing business within the GTA, was looking for somebody to cover her clients when she was on mat leave. She was like a solo business owner, had a number of clients, and was looking for the right person, and ideally somebody who had their own incorporated business, which I had. And so I worked really hard to convince that person that I was the right one for this job, the right person for this role, even though, to be fair, like, I didn't have the seniority, or like, I hadn't been in an agency before. Like, I had none of that. So she was really taking a big risk on me. And I had to really convince her. Like, I applied, DM'd her, did the whole thing, and got like almost an immediate no. I'm looking for somebody with more experience.
And so what did you take? How did you take that?
I thought, I want this. And I believe that if I get this, I can do it. I just had to believe that. So I went in the backyard and I filmed a video, and I explained why I was the right person for this. Like, look, I know on paper it says this, but here's what I've built, here's what I've done, here's what I've worked on, and here's why I'm going to be the right person for you. And at every next stage of that hiring process, I look for any way that I could go the extra mile. So she gave me an interview after that. You better believe and she told me in advance what she was worried about with me. She's like, I don't think you have like the tech experience. I don't think you're going to be good for this. So what did I do? This is before ChatGPT, guys. I did some research, and I prepared a deck about like business to business, B2B selling strategies for tech software.
Wow.
Yeah. And I wanted that gig, and I was like, I'm coming on here and I'm going to give this my all. And I did my best presentation, and there was a few more steps, and I ended up getting that opportunity.
Wow. Well, it's because you put the work into it. You're like, okay, these are the things that this job entails. Then I'm going to make myself qualified to be considered for this,
Yeah. And I think it's a reminder that it's like sometimes people self
Sabotage.
They self-sabotage, and they'll look at an opportunity, and because they're just not the perfect
100%. Or I don't have that one skill set, or I don't know that one program, so I'm just not going to bother. I'm not going to apply for this job.
Yes.
Scrap that. Terrible mentality. Apply for it anyway.
Exactly.
You just don't know. You never know.
You never know. And you should always be trying to build a case for yourself. This is whether or not you're a business owner. This is just in your own career.
Yeah.
You should always be trying to build a case for yourself. Like every single moment that we're interacting, we are persuading people. We're selling ourselves.
Yeah.
We're engaging in a way. And you want to be looking for ways that you can do that. And I've always told any young person, they're asking, how do I get ahead of my job? Like, work hard and always go the extra mile, and you will not go wrong. Go the extra mile. Like, I can't tell you how many people do the bare minimum. I am now hiring people, right? I get applications. I'm sorting through hundreds of resumes, and people are doing the bare minimum a lot of the time. It's a very generic cover letter. It's a very generic resume. Oh, yes, I've been following your work for some time. No, you haven't. Like, you have no idea who I am.
Weeding out the shit, Katie.
No, you haven't. Like, you haven't.
BS. No.
I've never seen you comment on one thing. Like, you're not engaged. You just followed the page yesterday. Like, no, you haven't. Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, be honest, be real, and like, actually look for ways that you can stand out and go the extra mile, and don't sell yourself short. Maybe you don't have this exact experience on paper, but if you can make a compelling proposal to me about how your experiences have given you what you need to be successful, that is great stuff.
Because I think often a lot of people undermine what's like quality someone has that sometimes is a bigger sell than what they necessarily know. Like, I would rather, and again, like, I don't have a team. I mean, that's the dream. Yet. Yes, exactly. But what I would be looking for is like, do you have these qualities that make a good employee or teammate, rather than like, you don't understand how to use this software? Like, because that's teachable, it's learnable. And if I know that you're driven, then I know that you're going to be driven to learn that and be great at it. Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. And I can't tell you, in a sea of plenty, in a sea of everybody and their grandmothers using tools like ChatGPT to write things and draft things and apply for things, like, just be the person who just does a little bit more than what the average person is doing. Actually take the time to pay attention to the company that you're applying to.
So what does that look like? Like as an example, like when you're applying for a job and you submit your cover letter and resume, what else can you do to maybe change your chances or your odds and stand out?
Love this question. So first thing, you're much better to send 10 very thoughtful applications than 100 crap ones.
Yeah.
Stop. Like, if you've applied to 100 jobs and you haven't got one,
people say it's a full-time job to look for a job.
It is. It's a lot of work, and I am very empathetic to that. It's a lot of work, and you can do a lot of work and put a lot of effort in, and you'll still get no's. But you're going to improve your odds, and when you do land on the opportunity, there's a much better chance that it's going to be the right opportunity for you if you actually take the time to curate. So first, you kind of go through, look at all the different opportunities, you make your short list. Then from there, which ones of these do I actually get excited about? Which are like the 10 opportunities that I get really excited about for whatever reason. Now you're going to put together your resume and your cover letter. Do not just send the same cover letter. Cover letters I read, and they mean a lot to me. The resume means one thing. The cover letter tells you the story behind something, the why. Why this job? Because I'm here as the employer. Like, why do you want to work here? What is it that excites you about this company? What is it excites you about this work? I want to know that. That's going to help me understand so much more about the drive that you're going to bring to this role. So I think a lot of people, we have it in our heads that you have to follow this cover letter formula, and like, no. One of my random side jobs that I applied for when I was building Girl Talk was a Kicking Horse coffee ambassador. Okay.
Sorry, what is that? What is that?
If you haven't tried Kicking Horse coffee, it is so good.
Yeah?
It's like a Canadian brand.
No way.
Up in BC, and great values, fun brand. So like they're one of their most famous blends is called Kick Ass.
I love that.
And
that's
their
very
motto's
cool.
like, wake up and kick ass. So what did I do for my cover letter? I fucking said kick ass.
Yeah,
like,
that's great.
I was like, your next kick ass brand ambassador was my email subject.
Brilliant.
I wove that into the story that I told. I'm like, I'm a kick-ass person. This is what you're looking for. This is why I'm the right fit for you. Like, add some personality. I'm sick of looking at bland, generic, oh, yes. And then I got this many impressions on this post. No.
Yeah.
Tell me why I should care and why you care about working for the company and what you're going to bring to that. So, yes, spend the time and make those applications mean something, not just generic stuff. Once you've done that, I always recommend making a personal touch point with the hiring manager. Oftentimes on LinkedIn, that's listed. If it's not, take your best guess. Go onto LinkedIn, go onto the company page, look in the department that you're applying in.
Just try different versions of emails.
Well, yeah, exactly. So first start by trying to find the person in the right title, their name. Names go a long way. So if I'm applying in the marketing department at a company, I go and search their company page on LinkedIn. I go into the people section and I go into keywords and I start typing like marketing manager or marketing director. Who comes up? Take your best guess. Who's like probably an executive in this department. Even if they're not the exact right one for this role, they're going to be impressed that you took the time to do this.
Yeah.
So one, I would include my cover letter made out to that person. And then two, in addition to submitting on the general portal, I would try to find this person's email. There's a lot of creative things that you can do to find that. You can also take guesses.
My girlfriend did that. This is a crazy story. One of my best friends had wanted to work for one of the biggest stylists. I won't name, I'll refrain from the name dropping, but the biggest stylist in LA, literally. And she was like, you know, I applied for the job. Like, it's like who you know, and I don't know her. I don't know anyone else who knows her. She's like, I'm just going to send a deck and a very compelling email. And I was like, so how are you going to find her email? She's like, oh, I have literally 50 versions of her email. And it was like the craziest way that it was like her husband's name, but then her name of like the combination of email that she had come up with like a dot and this and anyway, capital. And she had found it and she got the job. And that was the first thing that she said. She's like, I'm so impressed that you found my email. And she was like, well, there was time dedicated to that. and it takes the time. It takes time.
It takes the time. And we have more tools than ever now that can help you. You can get free trials of like Rocket Reach or like a low level plan of some of these different applications that can help you find it. Or another hack is look for places where people want you to contact them on the company page, like the press section. There's usually a press contact. So all you need is like the email format. First,
and then at or whatever.
And So all of those things. I would also, even if I submit to the portal, I would then send an email to the person that I believe to be the hiring manager. And I would make a warm email. Again, the why. Why are you interested, and attach your application. I've just submitted through the portal. Let them know that. They don't want to think that you're going in like some backdoor. I've submitted through the application. Just want to put this forward. I'm really excited about this opportunity. Would love to meet with you. And I think when you get that interview and you get that opportunity, come prepared. Have done something, have something to show, or be ready with it. Like I said, for me, it was, okay, I know that one of the areas that they might have questions about just based on my resume is I don't have experience in tech. How can I show that I've developed some skills that'll be applicable in this area? Transferable. So I would like proactively think about that for yourself. What is it that you can bring to this conversation? Some research that you've done, tie it back to an experience of yours. All of these are just like simple ways. After the interview, send a follow-up email. I'm telling you, a high percentage of people still don't. These are all little ways that just are the little extra that make you stand out. And 10 applications like that are going to send you forward to a job opportunity much quicker than 100 applications.
I also believe that if you don't get that job, but you make an impression on that person, I've also heard instances where then you are redirected in that company to maybe have another job that's not exactly what you were doing, but it's an in.
It is an in. And
you're remembered, and that goes like a really far place because you're building a reputation for yourself already.
It's not wasted effort.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So Katie, let's talk a little bit about personal branding and what that means, because I know like in conversations that we've had, it's you, and in this conversation, you have said things like everyone has their own personal brand. Like we walk around with it. This is like, you're promoting yourself every single day with every conversation and every person that you meet. How do you really discover the essence of your personal brand and what that looks like?
I think you get clues And you get clues based on feedback that you're given. So in your performance reviews, what are you praised for most often? In conversations with your friends, what do they really rely on you for? Like, are you the person that they can go to for X or for Y? Oh my gosh, you're my go-to for like beauty tips or beauty, like whatever it is. Like, what are some of the things that people come to you in life for and ask for help with? Those are all like really good clues.
That's interesting because it's also what you think about yourself is sometimes not what people think of you as. So it might be, I've been enlightened by that when I've asked people like, so what do you really care about? Or what do you want to hear? And they've said things like, I'm like, really? You care about that? That's like the last thing I would think you would care about or want to see. And it's a bit of like a reality check of like, they're the ones in like ingesting your content or watching you, or, you know, it's not what you seemingly feel like you're projecting.
Exactly. So I would keep yourself open to clues, because you'll notice some themes perhaps in what you're complimented on or what people come back to you for or ask you for. And that can maybe give you an idea of like, okay, like maybe I am seen as having some sort of credibility in this area or some sort of expertise in this area. But I also think the bigger question about your personal brand is you can have the essence of one, but where is it that you're going? And where is it that you want to go?
How do you figure that out?
Well, it's a big question.
That's a big question. It's a big question. I know, because in two ways, there are so many directions that you can go, and then it feels overwhelming. And then the concept of going back to our first point of like changing or reinventing your personal brand. Sometimes it's hard to get your head out of your ass of where you were and think differently, period. You know?
Yeah, it's such a good point. And I think like your personal brand allows you to grow and change. Your companies could change, where you work could change, but your personal brand is kind of like this thing that evolves with you. And it evolves with you because it's usually not just one thing. It's usually like a combination of things. And it usually has to do with both like soft skills and hard skills. So it gives you this opportunity to be in flux. So I think, look, nobody's gonna have the perfect answer for what should I do? What should my goal be? Where do I want to be in life? I could really tire myself out sitting here questioning, like, am I on the right path?
Yeah,
like,
totally.
You know,
totally.
We could all be doing a million things.
Meditate more.
Yeah.
It will come to you. It's like, oh, it's not coming. I'm waiting for it and it's not coming.
I don't think it does.
Yeah.
And I think it goes back to like, what are the next right opportunities in front of me? Like, what is the door that is right in front of me right now that looks interesting, that I'm curious about? And maybe that's a clue that leads me to the next one. So, you know, as soon as you start to have this idea of, okay, maybe this is an area that I'm interested in. So for me, marketing, I started to have this sense of, okay, like maybe this is an area that I want to pursue. I could have a career in this space. I could build a business in this space. Well, now once you kind of have that inkling, you can start testing, building your personal brand around that too. So how do I create some content that shows that I care about the subject matter? And that's really what it is. If you're looking to build your influence and your profile online, you know, creating content is the way that you do that. And creating content, we focus on likes and engagement. That's all important, but fundamentally, you want to create consistency where people think of you. And you want them to think of these couple different keywords, these couple different things when they think of you. That's the essence of your personal brand. So if you're kind of playing with like, oh, I'm thinking about law, or, you know, I'm thinking about insert field here, how can you start to like make some content around that? Even like doing some research and sharing some news stories from that industry or from that space, or something that you learned or a tip in that area. Start to create content, start to talk about things that are in the field that you're thinking of. But that's not the only place that you're creating content, right? Because while you're doing that, you can also just like talk about your journey and what you're currently doing now. And I encourage everybody to be on LinkedIn. Like, we don't all have to be TikTok and Instagrammers. If you want to be, we can have a separate conversation. But like at the very least, LinkedIn is a place that's like your resume come to life.
Yeah.
Your walking, living, breathing resume where I'll connect with somebody that I met and I'm like, oh, wow, look at them. They're up to this, or they're talking about this, or they attended this conference. That's another really good way to build your personal brand. Show up at places where you want to be seen. that would help you build expertise in your industry.
Interesting.
Post a picture there, meet the speakers behind the scenes of the panel, tag them. Like all of that starts to just build this footprint for yourself where people are going to start making associations. Branding is literally saying the same thing again and again and again. It's saying the same thing 100 different times. It's not saying 100 different things. So it's like you can have this idea of like, okay, I'm focused on marketing, I'm doing this. And how do I build some content that get people to start thinking about me in that way?
That's so interesting. And it's really simple. Like it isn't, but it is at the same time.
Yeah. And if you're just starting an industry, be honest about that, I think, as you're getting going with your content.
It's like lead with that as your story, because there's probably somebody else out there that has that is in the same place.
Yeah. Hey, I'm on a 90-day journey to learn more about X. Like I'm going to share what I learned along the way.
Yeah. So many great ideas. Okay. Going back though, so you took over this mat leave, and then how did the mic drop? Like, how did that agency start for you then? I assume that was up at a certain point, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna start something myself.
Yeah, it was just over a year, that contract. And while I was there, things clicked for me. I always say that there's moments in life where dots connect. So I feel like there's chunks of our life where we're just literally throwing paint on a big canvas.
Totally.
And we have no idea how this is going to connect.
Yeah.
What the frick is this?
Yeah.
What the frick is that? You're just kind of, so I felt like, yeah, I've been doing that for so long. And then that opportunity was like dots connecting. It just made me realize I started working with clients. I'm now the one responsible on the calls for their marketing. Okay, this is just kind of new, kind of fresh. I'm responsible for giving them advice on their social media. I'm responsible for giving them advice on how to get media opportunities. And it just started clicking where it's like, wow, I'm good at this. I like this. This is challenging. This is fun. This is exciting. So I think it was for me realizing like, this is my next chapter. Long story short, I was working with one of the companies, one of the clients for this business owner. And I had wanted to bring on an advisor for them. So I started to do some research online to find an advisor in the space, and brought that person in to try and do some mentorship with the client. And that advisor took an interest in me.
Interesting.
Connected with me on LinkedIn, saw my background. This is like a Texas serial entrepreneur dude here who's like one of the most amazing people. But he had looked at my profile and been like, so do you only work with women? Do you only work with girls? Or would you consider working for a guy like me?
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny. It's like, wow, there's life really like saying to you like, hey, maybe you're ready for like this pivot. Maybe you're ready for a different direction. And I was like, yeah, like let's talk.
Yeah.
So nothing happened during the course of that contract, but we sort of kept connected. And when my contract came to an end, that was the first call that I made, was to James Benham, this Texas entrepreneur. Called him and said like, hey, I'm open for opportunities. Like, what did you have in mind? And that was our first client with which we started the mic drop agency.
That's awesome. I love that story. And then obviously it's grown now.
Yeah.
How many clients are you working with?
So we've grown. We started to develop a niche in tech initially, like construction tech, and that's kind of grown and expanded from there. So unique. That was James's industry.
Yeah.
He was a well-known entrepreneur who built and sold that company, and from there we got a lot of referrals from the work that we were doing with him, and it kind of just built from there. So yeah, on an ongoing basis, look, we're working with like dozens of clients at a time. They're different sizes and stages, and we're really excited to just keep growing our reach and our impact. We found that one of our verticals, which is like tech, we're really good at helping high growth companies set a vision for themselves, help them go to market with their brand, help take complicated tech and make it simple for people to understand, help get the media opportunities. It's just been like such a fun, feels natural, but it's odd that it does because of the roundabout way that came here, but it just feels like a state of flow.
And also just because of the nature of like the subject matter, even that's not something that you like studied or like went to school for. And yet here you are.
But it turns out like one, tech is the thing. Like tech's a big buzzy thing. So that's interesting to me. And two, I've always really liked people who are innovators and people who when they see problems in the world, they don't just think, oh, well, somebody else can deal with that. They think like, no, well, what can I do?
Yeah.
And that's what I like about this field is like, you're working with people who have that mentality. Hey, I saw this problem and I'm now trying to build a tech solution to solve that.
Based on hearing this, a lot of your success is attributed to you know, like you going out and chasing it and putting yourself in front of it and being, you know, your own network, so to speak, of you know, going out to whether it be at conferences or make relationships or meet new people. What advice would you give to someone who is looking to do that sort of thing, but make it useful? Because I think a lot of people often go to these conferences or will buy a ticket somewhere, listen, and then schmooze and really get like nothing out of it. It's like, I just wasted all this money and time, which is like precious as well, and I got nothing from this.
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. I want to teach you to be an opportunity magnet. I've always loved the saying, opportunity dances with those who are on the dance floor.
I like that.
You gotta get on the dance floor.
Okay.
And do so, and I think in a way that's very strategic and going to be helpful. So look, at the center of everything meaningful in life are relationships. It's people to people. That's at the center of everything. And so one of the goals I think you should have for yourself is building your network. And when people hear that, they think, I got to go to more networking events. Mm-hmm. Which is one way of doing that. Networking events can also be tricky because everybody's kind of got that mentality and people are just like hawking their business cards at you and trying to find the most impressive person in the room and then only wanting to talk to them. So I have some feelings about, you know, those kind of networking events. But I think it matters to show up in the places where you want to be or with people that you want to learn from. Panels, you know, webinars, conferences, yes. But how do you actually make that meaningful? Well, I think a few things. You want to try and build relationships that are going to last beyond like one interaction. So when you meet somebody, actually take some time to listen when you're talking to them. Yeah. That sounds really simple, but I can't tell you how many networking events where somebody's like talking to me, but they're like looking over in the corner at who they're going to next. I'm like, are we having a conversation here or not? Yeah. Like, why am I talking?
Like spitting out the paragraph and then ready to go to the next. Yeah.
Actually listen. What is somebody up to? Get some good, fun questions that you ask people. Like, what are you most excited about right now? Or what's a project that you're working on that lights you up? Like, ask some questions where you learn some things about somebody. You can make notes on a business card. You can make notes in your phone so you remember some of these things about a person. When you leave that interaction, maybe you add them on LinkedIn. Maybe you send them a note and maybe you touch on something that they had said that they were interested in or that kind of thing.
To ignite the memory and the interaction that you just had.
Yes, exactly. I've heard some people say that they take selfies with people that they meet and then send that to them after so that they kind of make the visual connection too, which I think is cool. But also you want to be thinking about like, how can I follow up with this person?
Like what am I going to ask them
Maybe they told you about a topic and you go out of your way to do a little bit of research and find like an article or something that you think that they might be interested in or a podcast. Maybe it jogs your memory of something that you listen to and you're like, hey, I think you'd really like this. I know we were talking about this. We were talking about X. I think you'd really like this podcast. It's inspired me and this is why. Look for ways that you can start to build that sort of reciprocal connection. And a lot of what I'm saying here, I learned through doing, but I do want to recommend what I believe to be one of the best relationship books on the market, which is Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi. He was the youngest CMO of Deloitte. And he has a chapter called Be a Conference Commando. And that chapter is almost like it's like you should take that as a textbook because I think what he's saying makes a lot of sense. Don't just show up to a conference, volunteer at a conference. Be on the organizing committee. Get to be in the rooms where you get to meet some of the speakers and the sponsors. He gives so many different tips and then to try and look ahead to see who are the speakers that I'd love to meet.
Yeah.
And what are they passionate about?
Yeah.
Connect with them in advance. Hey, I'm coming to this conference or I'm looking forward to your panel session on this date. Really excited to learn more about why. Do you have 5 minutes afterwards? I'd love to just introduce myself. Like start to even make some of those advanced preparations ahead of time. But I think fundamentally, all of these things, we're looking for like tangible tips. You want to figure out a way that you can add value to other people's life. And you want to figure out a way that you can just show that you're trying to make a meaningful connection and not just something that's transactional. And
Yeah.
you do that by like asking thoughtful questions, listening to the responses, and then following up. And there is that follow up. And this author, Keith Ferrazzi, like years ago, decades ago, had like this Rolodex of people, every city, anywhere he's ever met.
Wow.
Here's the people that I know. Here's their interests. And he pings them. He calls it like his pinging thing. So
that's so impressive.
He'll come across an article and he remembers, Stan from Chicago liked cycling or whatever. Hey, here's an article that I saw about the benefits of cycling. Like, I'm going to send this to you. Like, that's how his brain works. And, we might not all achieve that level of status with this, but I think the concept is good.
Yeah.
It's taking an actual interest in people, making an effort to remember names, birthdays, jot those down. Those are all really good touch points and excuses. You're traveling to a city. Hey, who do I know in this city? Who could I ping? Who can I meet for lunch or a coffee?
Yeah.
It's a really good way of just like starting to build that relationship.
For sure. And I like the point that you're saying of like thoughtful questions. There's nothing I hate more than giving someone my time. This sounds so, I don't mean this in an arrogant way. I will preface this. But someone who asks you for a coffee and then has no agenda, no real questions that are thoughtful or that they couldn't just Google and find somewhere else.
Yes.
It was like, you're wasting my time, kid.
They're not even, are they showing?
Sorry. I try to say that nicely, but it's like, yeah. And then I don't have a good perception of you at the end of the day.
But have they taken an interest in you? Have they taken the time to learn about your background and ask you very specific questions about your own journey and experience? Like, come on. Everybody wants a mentor, but nobody wants to be a good mentee. Like, be a good mentee. A good mentee, you're an eager pupil. You're an eager student. You have questions. You've done work in advance. You've thought about things. You don't want to waste somebody's time. Yeah, have an agenda, lead it, follow up afterwards. If this person, they meet with you and they ask you for like your favorite book or some sort of resource that really helped you, go read that book after.
Yeah. It's the work that
follow up.
You have to you have to be willing to do the work beforehand and then carry it on afterwards. Yeah. If you want something out of it. If you learned in that meeting, then that's not for you, then that's a different story. Because maybe meetings like that will do that to you. But still, it's you got to be willing to put in the work.
Go the extra mile. It is never crowded.
What's coming up for you? Like, what's next, Katie? Can you say?
Yes.
Yay! Okay.
2026 is an exciting year.
Very exciting.
After a long and arduous process, got approval on a U.S. visa.
Woohoo!
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you. This has been a long time coming. I mean, with Mic Drop, a majority of our clients are in the U.S., so I'm traveling like 3 times a month, back and forth. And we've just recently opened an office in Austin, Texas. And I
might be going to Texas in March, so if I'm there, I'm going to message you if you're there. Yes,
you're 100% coming. Yeah, it's a booming city. If you haven't been there before, it's like a tech hub. There's lots happening there. A really fun like lifestyle that I'm excited to try out. Sean and I are excited to try out. So that's what's next. We're gonna move there. I'm gonna work on establishing this office and building out Mic Drop. I think 2026 is the year where we expand into even new verticals. We're just in the process of signing and working with some new and larger companies in different areas and different industries. So I'm really excited to see what the year brings and how we can continue to grow and expand.
That's amazing. Huge congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, plug all the things, Katie, of where people can find you, look you up, follow you, probably engage with you. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna be looking for those DMs now.
Yeah. Sorry.
LinkedIn is the place for me.
Okay.
It's my favorite social media platform. So you can just find me at my full name, Katie Zeppieri. And when you send a connection request, if you heard me on this podcast, don't be afraid to include that note. It's a tip for LinkedIn connections. Always add a little personal note when you're sending one that's fresh. But I'm also on the other platforms too. Instagram would probably be the next most common. So feel free to reach out. I'd love to hear what stood out to you from this conversation. And if you have any questions, be excited to support you on your journey.
And I'd love to know too, so that we can bring Katie back so she can help us with more things. That's for sure. Thank you so much for your time and all the best to you with your move.
Thank you so much for having me. This is awesome. I really enjoyed this chat.